All right, everyone, welcome to the weekend wrap up. As always, we're going to go through stocks, we're going to go through crypto, we are going to go through FX and just talk about what happened. If you want to make sure you don't miss these, go to satsatrading.com, sign up for the email list, and now the product in which I've been talking about for weeks, in which you can have access to the outputs of my algorithms, all of the symbols that come out, where the algorithm's looking to enter, where it's looking to exit, and a video for each one for members only. You can find that over at statsedgetrading.com. We're calling it Stats Edge Pro. Check that out. A lot of other perks like a subscriber only chat and monthly Q&A webinars, all of that again over at statsedgetrading.com. Now, pop right into it here. We're going to get started, and we have to get started with Bitcoin, right? What's the would not be a weekend wrap up without that. So let's go straight to it. So, not what you kind of want to see. There's 2 days left, technically, always when I do these for a weekly candle of Bitcoin. But I'm watching this low right here. We're technically back above it, and that's good. If we close like this is a Harami pattern, which, fun fact, means pregnant woman. And the idea is you have a down candle, it looks like this, and then you have another inside candle, it looks like that. A lot of people look at that as a potential bullish sign. The bears failed to take it lower. So if you get a push up over the next candle, that'd be interesting right in here. But the main thing that I've been talking about in crypto for a while and still remains true is Ethereum holding this level right here. So if there is a crypto that I'm going to buy, it's going to be Ethereum. If we continue to hold this level, that's what I'm going to take a look at, because again, it's holding relatively strong to Bitcoin. I always go for relative strength. So Ethereum looks like it could be the move here, as again we hold on to this level right here, just doing a little bit better than Bitcoin. But to be honest, both of them aren't really that great. Here, just gonna move something so I can see my list of everything I want to go through. I do all the scanning in advance so that I can make this relatively quick for you. Going into regular currencies, we had the dollar continuing to be weak. Talked about this rising wedge pattern probably right here sometime last week. And then we just continued down this week, closing right at these lows. Now, back to the weekly chart, you can see how these lows have been very significant for a long period of time. If I just draw this through right here, we have some bottoming tails right there, some topping tails right here. A pretty important area when it comes to kind of looking at what's going to happen in this zone right here. So a little bit overextended, maybe, 2 weeks down in a row. Wouldn't be shocked to see a bounce or a rest week or something next week. But if we just slice through this level that I have highlighted here like butter and continue lower, then the dollar could be falling, which generally speaking, good for stocks. Who knows if that still holds true in this environment? We'll talk about some crazy correlations that happen a little bit later. Uh, Aussie yen, we have a nice uh, reversal bar. We pushed up a little bit on Aussie yen, and then if we look, you can see right here, it looks like the Bank of Japan. Some people got offended when I just tweeted, "Oh, it looks like the Bank of Japan's doing some silliness." They're defending their currency. They said they would defend their currency, and they're defending their currency. The question is, can they do it for any length of time? Uh, I don't know, but that is a pretty wicked reversal candle on the weekly chart. So looking to see if we do trade a little bit lower. Uh, The last time they went and defended their currency was way back here. So we're still well above that price that obviously they're not happy where their currency is. We look at GBP, USD, we look at pound, nice breakout here on the pound. I'm going to look to see maybe if we can get a pullback into this level. You can see prior highs right here and prior highs right here. If we get any kind of pullback next week into that zone, I'm going to take a look at that pound here for a potential move. And the last from the pure currency I want to look at is USD CAD. Now, remember, we had the United States dollar just fall apart the last 2 weeks, big red candles and down weeks. However, we still have the Canadian dollar holding this zone right here. We have one, two, three bottoming tails in a row right here on the Canadian dollar. So relative strength going on here for sure, or I guess weakness in this idea, but looks like could be a little bit of a landing or a little bit of launching pad to see if we want to retest this high. And if we retest that high, are we going to continue to grind higher? So I'm going to watch USD CAD there for a little bit. If the United States dollar stops going down, I think this might be one that really, really outperforms. Now, take a look at gold, XAU, USD. There we go. So a nice push off on gold, right? We talked about this monthly chart a while ago about how we wanted to wait a little bit. We had an inside month. I expected a little bit more. Not, I'm gonna be blunt, but when the market's telling me that I'm wrong and we started to push through this level, I took note. So on the daily chart, I talked about this on Trader TV. If anyone watched me there, a lot of things were coming through my algorithms to say, hey, take a look at gold. There's a lot of relative strength here. So when we broke through that level and then looked like we were going to continue, I bought some gold and some gold related names. Now, what's not doing nearly as well is silver. And again, you think of silver as kind of high beta gold, but down week this week when gold had an up week. So some relative weakness here in silver. I need to keep an eye on that. It's just like we were talking about with Bitcoin and Ethereum. If there's two things that should be very correlated and very related, and one is outperforming the other, I'm going to look. If I'm looking to buy, I'm going to buy the one that's outperforming. If I'm looking to short, I'm going to short the one that's underperforming. Just my philosophy on trading. So, without further ado, we're going to get here into the cues, and I think this is going to be the thing we spend the most amount talking. So we had the cues, we had this big topping tail that sold off, and we closed pretty much at near the lows of the week, but it's kind of better to look at this, I guess, on a daily chart. We can take a look here on the daily chart. You can see with this massive sell day yesterday in the cues. Now, it's always important when you're looking at these ETFs, and I look at 100 ETFs a day, to understand at least somewhat the components of them. And with the Qs, pretty easy. It's big tech. The big tech is going to move the Qs. The little guy's not going to matter so much. And the headlines I read was, oh, what a down day. Oh, what a crazy day. It was crazy that we were down so much. Oh, it was an ugly down day in the market. And then I bring up the IWM, and this is kind of reminding everyone why I go through this many charts, is because we were up. Look at that massive candle right here on the IWM. Just a huge, huge week to have a new 52-week, new 2-year closing highs on the IWM. So what are we seeing when we see this? What's the idea? Why are the Qs down and why is the IWM up? And I want to talk a little bit about how historic this is. A divergence of these two indices hasn't happened to this degree in like 25 years. It was a very, very kind of important and impactful day. And what it's showing us is that people are taking profits on their big tech names. They're taking profit on their Nvidias and this type of thing, but they're not taking that profit and turning it into cash and going to buy yachts or whatever. They're taking that and they're still bullish on the market, and they're putting that money into other things. So that's when I talk about rotation, I talk about this idea of sell this thing and then buy that thing with the profits or the proceeds. So as long as that's occurring, then that's good. That's great for us, people like myself that run breakout algorithms and pullback algorithms and are always looking at new stocks every single week. Not so good for the people who've just been conditioned to buy and hold big tech and nothing else. If this rotation continues, and this is what I'm going to be watching primarily next week, if this rotation continues into next week, then it's going to be way better to hold other names than to go back to the well into big tech. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there when it comes to that. And you can see the same thing if we go SPY, which is an equal weighted ETF, which doesn't look too bad on the weekly chart. But if we go down to the daily, you can see we had that awful day as well, and then a little bit of a topping tail here today. But if we go to the RSP, which is the same 500 names, just equally weighted as opposed to capitalization weighted, which basically means that they're taking away the effect that big tech has. A great week for RSP. So more stocks are moving, not just the Magnificent Seven or FANG or whatever acronym they're using now, but looks very good. So let's take a look at a couple other ETFs under the hood. TAN Solar, very interesting. I've marked this level out, this $41 forever. And now we see twice we undercut that 41 bucks and then we plow right through. That's happened twice. So I'm watching this solar ETF to see if this is going to continue. Then again, I want to keep an eye on it because there's going to be a lot of ways that you can trade this by simply finding a good solar play that looks okay and just holding it as long as the solar ETF or that company holds this prior support, right? That's why we look at these supports as bands as opposed to just single numbers. Because in this case, it seems like we bleed through a little bit and some buyers come in, then we bleed through a little bit. If buyers come in, I definitely want to be looking at solar stocks. XHB, our home builders, what a weekly candle. Super strong this week, a very, very nice breakout. And if we go through this right here, you can see a nice little bull flag. So we had a breakout, and then we've been slowly but methodically pulling back, and looks like we could be having another breakout here in home builders. So I'm going to check that one out. Industrials, XLI. Same kind of look. A lot of these stocks that I'm looking at look like this. They have these high, tight flags that have been hanging out for a long time, and then it looks like these might continue longer. XLV, new all-time closing high on XLV right here. Nice little breakout on that. Again, looks very strong. This is healthcare. Last but not least, financials. And there's a very specific reason I did these ETFs in general that I'll talk about. A nice breakout here. So to summarize, solar, home builders, industrials, healthcare, and financials all breaking out. And then we looked at QQQ, which is mainly big tech, and SMH putting in these topping tails. So it just seems like we're getting this rotation. A lot of people made a lot of money on this push up. This is the main theme that I'm personally going to be watching going into next week. If we have a pullback in semiconductors, we have a pullback in the Qs, we have a pullback in the Mag 7, but then we have a rotation into other stocks that's going to really reward people that have access to something like the StatsEdge Pro algorithms, which you can go to statsedgetrading.com to check out. Because the idea is that you want to be armed with a bunch of names that have some sort of edge behind them that may be outside of the normal space that you're used to looking. If you're someone who's used to just looking at big tech, again, I'm going to have that list ready to go. I'll be sending that one out on the weekend to all of the premium members. So when it comes to kind of discretionary trades, I talked about Carvana, CVNA. I talked about this week on the email list. I still kind of like the look of this one. Nice little breakout, but couldn't really stick the landing yet. I mean, the topping tail here. So I want to see Carvana continue going into Monday to see if we can finally break, because I'm looking for a quick short squeeze on this one. A 22% short squeeze. This thing, by all accounts, has just been rocketing, which means we know that the people who have been shorting this thing are at the point where they're probably getting killed. So they need to liquidate at some point, and that's what I'm looking for on this trade. So thank you all for coming by. Thanks for going to statsedgetrading.com, signing up, checking out the product. For the premium members, again, you'll get an email sometime this weekend with some more videos. For the rest of you guys, talk to you next week.